You're not welcome here anymore, Amanda sneered, blocking the doorway to the mansion's grand entrance. This is a family gathering, and you're not family. Behind her, I could see the warm glow of Christmas lights and hear the laughter of relatives enjoying the annual holiday party. My father-in-law's voice carried from somewhere inside, telling one of his favorite stories. I gripped the homemade apple pie tighter, my mother's recipe that everyone had always loved. Amanda, I've been coming to these gatherings for 8 years. Just because your brother and I are divorced. Exactly. She cut me off, her perfectly manicured finger pointing at my chest. You and Michael are over. That means you're out. We're done pretending you belong here. She grabbed the pie from my hands. Thanks for the dessert, though. Now leave before I call security. My name is Olivia Parker, and at 34, I was being kicked out of the family Christmas party by my former sister-in-law, who'd never approved of me from day one. Not because I'd done anything wrong, but because I wasn't from the same social circle as them. The irony of the situation almost made me laugh. Fine, I said quietly, turning away from the door. Enjoy the party, Amanda. As I walked back to my car, snow crunching under my boots, I heard the door slam behind me. 8 years of memories in that house. Birthdays, holidays, Sunday dinners, all erased because my marriage hadn't worked out. Michael and I had separated amicably, both realizing we wanted different things in life. But his family, especially Amanda, had turned it into a social war. What Amanda didn't know, what none of them knew, was that 6 days ago, I'd signed the final papers making me the official owner of the Morrison Mansion. The very house they were celebrating in right now. The very house Amanda had just kicked me out of. It hadn't been my intention to buy it. I'd been working with a real estate investment group looking for properties to renovate and restore. When the Morrison Mansion came up for sale, I almost ignored it. But then I saw the price, barely half of what it was worth. The previous owner, old Mr. Harrison, had been desperate for a quick, quiet sale. I did some digging and discovered why. The Morrisons, my former in-laws, had been renting the mansion for the past 5 years, presenting themselves as the owners to their social circle. But they'd never actually bought it. They'd been paying rent to Mr. Harrison while telling everyone the house was their family estate. Now they were 3 months behind on rent, and Mr. Harrison wanted out. I sat in my car, watching the party through the frost-covered windows. The mansion was beautiful, especially in winter. Its stone facade and towering windows reminded me of something from a fairy tale. I'd fallen in love with it the first time Michael brought me here. Now it was mine, and they had no idea. My phone buzzed. A text from Jessica, my best friend and real estate partner. Did you tell them? Amanda kicked me out before I could. Gee, when are you going to drop the bomb? Not tonight. Let them have their party. You're too nice. I'd walk right back in there and announce it to everyone. I smiled at Jessica's message. She'd never liked how Amanda treated me, always telling me to stand up for myself more. But revenge wasn't my style. I hadn't bought the house to spite them. I'd bought it because it was a good investment. The fact that it would force them to face their lies was just a bonus. The next morning, I met with my lawyer, Emma, to discuss next steps. The previous owner had asked me to honor the existing rental agreement for at least 2 months, giving the Morrisons time to find a new place. I agreed, but there was still the matter of their overdue rent. They need to pay what they owe, Emma said, spreading documents across her desk. Mr. Harrison has provided all the payment records. They haven't paid rent since October. I nodded, looking at the figures. It was a substantial amount. Send them an official notice. Don't mention that I'm the new owner yet. Just that the property has been sold and all past due amounts need to be paid. Emma raised an eyebrow. You're being very generous. Most new owners would evict them immediately. I know, but I want to do this right. They're going to be angry enough when they find out it's me. I don't want to give them any ammunition to fight back. As I left Emma's office, my phone rang. It was Michael. Liv, Amanda told me what happened last night. I'm so sorry. It's fine, Michael. Really? No, it's not. You're still family to me, regardless of our divorce. I'll talk to her. Don't bother. Everything's going to work out exactly as it should. I could hear the confusion in his silence. Michael had always been the kindest of the Morrisons, which was probably why we'd managed to stay friends after our divorce. But even he didn't know about his family's financial situation. Amanda and their parents had kept it hidden from him, just like they hid it from everyone else. That evening, as I sat in my apartment reviewing renovation plans for other properties, I received an email from Emma. The official notice had been sent to the Morrison family. In 2 days, they would learn they had a new landlord. In 2 days, their carefully constructed facade would begin to crack. I poured myself a glass of wine and looked out at the city lights. 8 years ago, I entered the Morrison family feeling like I didn't belong. Amanda had made sure I never forgot my common background, my lack of social connections, my ordinary job in historic preservation. She never knew that while she was looking down on me, I was building my own success, one property at a time. Now I owned the very symbol of their supposed status. The mansion they pretended was their family legacy, the home they used to maintain their social standing. And soon, very soon, they would have to face the truth, not just about the house, but about themselves. I picked up my phone and texted Jessica back. Notice has been sent. Let the games begin. Her response was immediate. Finally. Can't wait to see Amanda's face when she finds out who her new landlord is. Neither could I, if I was being honest. Neither could I 2 days later. I was in my office when Emma called. They've received the notice, she said, trying to suppress a laugh. And they're having quite a reaction. Amanda's already called 3 times demanding to speak to the new owner. I leaned back in my chair, imagining the chaos unfolding at the mansion. What did you tell her? That the owner wishes to remain anonymous for now, but expects all past due rent to be paid within the week. Emma paused. She's not taking it well. Just then, my phone lit up with a call from Michael. I've been expecting this. Liv, did you hear what's happening? His voice was tense. Someone bought the mansion. My parents are freaking out, and Amanda's on a warpath. Really? I kept my voice neutral. What's wrong? Apparently, they're behind on rent. I had no idea we were renting. They always told me we owned it. He sounded hurt, confused. Why would they lie about that? I felt a twinge of sympathy for Michael. He'd always been honest, sometimes to a fault. Finding out his family had been living a lie must be devastating. People keep secrets for all sorts of reasons, I said carefully. Amanda's convinced it's someone from our social circle trying to humiliate us. She's already called half the country club trying to figure out who bought it. I had to bite my lip to keep from laughing. Amanda had always been obsessed with social status, constantly worried about what others thought. This situation was her worst nightmare come true. Later that afternoon, I drove past the mansion, curiosity getting the better of me. Amanda's red Mercedes was in the driveway and I could see her pacing in front of the large bay windows, phone pressed to her ear. Even from the street, her agitation was visible. My phone buzzed with a text from Jessica. Your SIL just called my real estate office trying to get info about the buyer. Should have seen her face when we told her all inquiries go through Emma. I smiled, typing back. How long should we let this play out? Let them stew for a few days. They need to understand they're not in control anymore. She was right. The Morrisons had spent years maintaining their facade of wealth and ownership. A few days of uncertainty wouldn't kill them. But the universe had other plans. The next morning, I received an urgent call from Emma. They're trying to claim adverse possession, she said, sounding both amused and annoyed. Amanda's found some lawyer who's telling them they might have a claim to the property since they've been living there for 5 years. I sat up straighter. Can they do that? Not a chance. They have a rental agreement and have been paying rent, albeit irregularly. That negates any adverse possession claim. But Emma hesitated. I think it's time to reveal who owns the property. Otherwise, they might try something desperate. I agreed, though my stomach churned at the thought of the confrontation to come. Set up a meeting. Tomorrow, if possible. Let's end this. Emma arranged for the meeting to take place at her office. I arrived early, settling into a chair in the conference room while Emma reviewed our documentation one last time. They're here, her assistant announced, and moments later, the door opened. Amanda strode in first, looking immaculate as always in her designer suit. Her parents followed, then Michael, who stopped short when he saw me. What are you doing here? Amanda demanded, her perfectly lined lips curling into a sneer. I stood up slowly, smoothing down my own suit, not designer, but well-tailored and professional. I'm here because I own the mansion. The silence that followed was deafening. Amanda's face went through a range of emotions: shock, disbelief, rage. Her mother gripped her father's arm, both of them pale. Michael just started laughing. "This is a joke," Amanda finally sputtered. "You can't possibly. You don't have that kind of money." I slid the property deed across the table. "Actually, I do. I've been investing in real estate for years. The mansion was a good opportunity. Undervalued, great location, solid structure." But, Amanda's mother stammered. "You have two options," I continued, my voice steady. "Pay the overdue rent and continue your lease for 2 more months while you find a new place, or leave immediately. You can't do this to us." Amanda's voice rose to a shriek. "This is our home." "No," I corrected her. "It's my property, which you've been renting and lying about." Michael stepped forward, still chuckling. "This is perfect. Absolutely perfect." He turned to his family. "All those years you spent looking down on Olivia, and she ends up owning our supposed family estate." Amanda looked like she might explode. "You knew about this," she accused her brother. "Not until just now," he replied, "but I have to appreciate the irony." Their father finally spoke up, his voice tired. "We'll pay the overdue rent, and we'll be out in 2 months." Amanda whirled on him. "Daddy, no. We can't let her win like this." "Win?" I interjected. "This isn't about winning, Amanda. It's business. I bought a property that was for sale. What happens next is up to you." As they filed out of the conference room, Michael lingered behind. "I'm sorry," he said. "About everything." I shook my head. "Don't be. You were never the problem." He smiled. "No, I wasn't. But I never stood up to them either." He turned to leave, then paused. "You know what the funny thing is? You finally got what you always wanted, their respect, even if it's grudging." I watched him go, thinking about his words. Respect had never been what I wanted from the Morrisons. All I'd ever wanted was to be treated like a person, not a social climbing intruder. Now, ironically, I had become exactly what they had pretended to be, the owner of their precious mansion. 3 weeks had passed since the meeting in Emma's office. True to their word, the Morrisons had paid the overdue rent, though I heard through Michael that Amanda had thrown an epic tantrum about it, accusing her parents of surrendering to the enemy. I was reviewing renovation plans for the mansion. It would need significant updates once they moved out, when my phone rang. It was Amanda. "We need to talk," she said, her voice lacking its usual sharp edge. "In person. Please." I agreed to meet her at a local cafe, curious about what could make Amanda say please to me. When I arrived, I almost didn't recognize her. Gone was the perfectly coiffed appearance she usually maintained. Instead, she looked tired. "I've been thinking," she said, staring into her untouched coffee. "About everything. About how I treated you all these years." I sat quietly, waiting for her to continue. "When Michael first brought you home, I was so angry. Not because of you, exactly, but because you represented everything I was afraid of." She looked up at me. Someone who didn't care about our social rules, who worked hard and succeeded on their own. "I spent my whole life trying to maintain this image, and you just were yourself." "Amanda," I started, but she held up her hand. "Let me finish. Last week, I overheard some women at the country club talking about us, about how the mighty Morrisons were just renters all along. I was mortified. But then one of them said something that stuck with me. She said, 'At least the new owner earned it honestly.' I felt an unexpected pang of sympathy. The social circle wasn't as important as you thought, was it?" She shook her head, almost laughing. "God, no. They're all calling you a brilliant businesswoman now. The same people who used to whisper about you being a gold digger. People's opinions change like the wind," I said. "That's why I never cared about them in the first place." Amanda was quiet for a moment. "We found a new place. Smaller, but actually within our means. Dad's finally admitted he needs to scale back, start living more honestly." She met my eyes. "I wanted to ask, would you consider selling us some of the furniture from the mansion? The pieces that have actual family history?" I smiled, reaching into my bag. "Actually, I had Emma draw this up." I handed her a document. "It's a list of all the furniture and fixtures in the house. I'd like you to go through and mark what has genuine family significance. Those pieces are yours." Her eyes widened. "But why?" "Because despite everything, that house holds your family memories. I'm going to renovate it, make it into something new, but you should keep the pieces that matter." Tears welled in Amanda's eyes, the first real emotion I'd ever seen from her. Thank you, she whispered. I don't deserve this kindness. Maybe not, I agreed. But it's not about deserving. It's about doing what's right. A week later, I stood in an empty mansion, sunlight streaming through the windows. The Morrisons had moved out early, leaving behind a letter from Amanda with the furniture list and a surprising addition, her grandmother's cookbook, filled with handwritten recipes and notes. These recipes made this house the home, she'd written. Maybe they can do the same for its next chapter. Michael stopped by as I was going through the rooms, making notes for the renovation. You've changed them, he said, leaning against the doorframe. Amanda's actually working now, got a job at an event planning firm. Mom and Dad are selling their country club membership. I raised an eyebrow. Really? He nodded. Sometimes people need to lose everything to realize what really matters. He looked around the room. What are your plans for this place? I'm turning it into a boutique hotel, I said. Keeping the historical features but modernizing where needed. This place has too much character to be just another private residence. Michael smiled. From unwanted outsider to the owner transforming the family mansion into something new. That's quite a story. Life's funny that way, I agreed. As I locked up the mansion that evening, I thought about everything that had happened. I hadn't bought this place for revenge, but the outcome had changed more than just property ownership. It had shattered pretenses, forced honesty, and somehow, in the end, brought a kind of peace. Amanda and I would never be best friends, but we had reached an understanding. The Morrisons had lost their facade, but gained something more valuable, authenticity. And me? I had finally closed the chapter on my past with this family, not with bitterness, but with unexpected grace. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's simply living well and allowing others the chance to learn and grow. The mansion's keys felt right in my hand. It was time to begin its new story.